How about that? We just got a shot of the New York State Athletic Commissioner, and he even got a little chyron or whatever below. I thought that was really cool that they're shouting him out. I mean, it makes you wonder what sort of backdoor deals are cut in these sort of circumstances. That's what we hear, at least.
Well, I think it was also former boxer Floyd Patterson, who probably boxed in Madison Square Garden.
Oh, you're exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, how about these clips, man, from one night only? By the way, that is in the archives. One of the hottest main events in history. You want to talk about heat. And I know you always take great issue with ever, Dave Meltzer would say, oh, this match had great heat. Well, this one really did. I know that sometimes you say, oh, that's not what heat means. Buddy, if that wasn't heat with Davey Boy Smith and Shawn Michaels, I don't know what is. My goodness.
Yeah, that was heat.
By the way, speaking of heat, on the other channel, you're developing some heat. I should just recap what all happened on Nitro. It is indeed the debut of Bill Goldberg. You guys are in Salt Lake City.
Mm-hmm.
Disco Inferno, your great close personal friend.
Christ.
He's going to win the TV title from Alex Wright, my boy. Hector Garza is going to beat Scott Hall with a roll-up. Yeah, Scott Hall put over Hector Garza. And Kurt Hennig would defeat Jeff Jarrett to retain the U.S. title in the main event. So that's what's happening on Monday Night Raw. By the way, the peak of Nitro, I'm sorry, that was what was happening on Nitro. But the Nitro peak rating was a 4.4 for a segment involving Scott Hall, 6, Larry Zbyszko, and that quickie match with Hector Garza. So as crazy as it sounds, that was actually the highest rated segment on the evening. Hector Garza beating Scott Hall. You got any good Hector Garza stories you can share with us?
No. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to picture Hector Garza in my head, and I can't.
He had shoulder length hair, and he didn't wear a mask, and he had really small trunks, and he'd do a corkscrew plancha down.
Oh yeah, he was like a very he was a handsome fellow. A handsome fellow, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Now I remember Hector Garza. Rest in peace.
Overall, Nitro did a 3.69 rating. That is breaking down a 3.83 first hour and a 3.58 second hour and a 5.57 share, which means that overall Nitro would beat Raw 3.58 to 2.33 head to head. So even though this is a historic Monday Night Raw, Nitro is still firmly in control. We've got a total of 14,615 fans here to see The Undertaker slowly walk to the ring. They're going to pack the building. They're going to cut it down a little bit for television because they got the big staging and things like that. So some areas are blocked off. I'm saying that to explain that when they would go with no stage and just walk out through the backstage area under one of those tunnels or what have you, they could get closer to 20,000. But when you're going to have the big jumbotron and the curtain for the backstage area and all that jazz and the big staging, well, you lose some seats. So there's 14,615 fans there. 10,672 of those paid $258,000 at the gate and another 97,000 in merch. And now we see The Undertaker standing in the middle of the ring with Vince McMahon, who's not yet been officially acknowledged as the owner. He's still just doing commentary on the show, being our stick man. I know that years later we would see JR in this role and then eventually Michael Cole. And once upon a time, we saw that being Mean Gene Okerlund. What'd you think of Vince McMahon as the stick man here?
I always thought Vince was one of the best announcers in the business during his run.
Yeah,
I did. I thought, again, I go back to when you think about great commentary teams, to me, Vince McMahon and Jesse the Body Ventura were one of the best commentary teams ever. Just like Gorilla and Bobby Heenan or Jerry Lawler and JR. I just thought Vince was, and Vince, realistically, it's his company, so he knew what to say. He knew how to promote things. So I thought he was great in this era. The only thing I didn't like about it was, with the exception of The Undertaker, is he's so tall and he's so big. And the idea is that your announcers need to be smaller than the talent. But he was smart. He would make sure that that he wasn't in there with guys that he would dwarf over. Is that right? Dwarf over?
Yeah, we'll go with it.
Okay, we'll go with it.
I always find it interesting because I appreciate what you said, and that makes total sense. And I totally agree and understand and all that jazz.
Okay.
But Lord, like in the little recap, as we're opening this show, we saw him standing next to Andre the Giant, and Andre looked about 4 feet taller.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's standing next to the Undertaker, and the Undertaker looks 7-8 inches taller.
Right.
I know that, Vince didn't have any problem with that. It builds the legend of Andre, but my goodness, what a comparison.
Right. And of course, back then there was nobody like Andre. Nobody
Right.
even close. He was all by himself as far as just his height and his size. So, they called him the eighth wonder of the world, and wrestling fans, sports fans, never see anything like it.
As a reminder, the competition is stiff in this time of year.
Stiff.
It's not just WCW. It's also the NFL. It's a Monday night in September, so we're knee deep in Monday Night Football. And here comes Shawn Michaels. As a reminder, we just finished up the September pay-per-view where these guys were in the main event. They went on last, even though Bret Hart was the champion. Bret Hart was wrestling the Patriot in a flag match, and these guys were in the main event, and the Undertaker did what I believe Vince McMahon called the flying cow, or maybe Bruce Pritchard did rather, where the Undertaker dove over the top rope onto some folks below. And now we've set up a rematch to keep all these degenerates from DX outside of the cage, and we're constructing a new cage match known as the Hell in a Cell. And we're just a few weeks away from the Hell in a Cell, which we know, with the benefit of hindsight, is also the debut of Kane. There's so many moving parts here to this particular Monday Night Raw. And we haven't even gotten to the 3 big things that happened. It's crazy. This is all happening the same time that Goldberg's debuting on the other channel. Like, what a historic day this is for all of wrestling, really.
Right. But of course, we didn't know what Goldberg would become when we debuted him. He was just another guy, right?
Yep.
And I've told the story many times. It's worth repeating during this one that the entrance of Goldberg was completely flubbed. And it's amazing. I mean, you got to credit Goldberg because of his appearance and the way he approached things. That's how he got over. But we had no idea what we had on our hands. We didn't even know what to call him. So amazing.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson here to tell you a little more about what AdFreeShows.com is all about. Get early, ad-free access to more than a dozen of your favorite wrestling podcasts every single week, starting at just $9. That's less than 20 cents an episode each month. And yes, you can listen to them all directly through Apple Podcasts or your regular podcast apps. How easy is that? Ad-Free Shows also has thousands of hours worth of bonus content and docuseries like Title Chase, Eric Fires Back, Conversations with Conrad, and The Insiders. Plus new series like The Book with David Crockett, Monday Mailbags with Mike Chioda and Nick Patrick, and a whole lot more. And you want to talk about early? You can't get any earlier than listening to the shows live. You can be a part of the live studio audience as we record the podcast. Plus, ride shotgun alongside your favorite childhood heroes for live watch-alongs, Q&As, and other interactive experiences every single month. Come on now, see for yourself what thousands of other wrestling fans from around the world have discovered, that AdFreeShows.com is the best value in wrestling. Check it out today, and hey, when you do, the first week is completely free. AdFreeShows.com.